Good morning, everybody. Crafting Journey here. Crafting Journey is not so chipper today. No. I didn't get much sleep last night. Uh, yeah, up really late. I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I don't know, but I'm tired. Yeah, I haven't mentioned it, but because it's kind of embarrassing, but there is some kind of critter, not in the attic this time, but stuck under the house, like in the crawl space under the house. And the landlord has come out and she has put a trap, but this thing is like evading the trap. So last night it was trying to break into my closet. And of course, so Tootsie was barking, and yeah, there was no sleep. I finally got up and I was like pounding on the wall just to get it to hopefully scare it. It can't get out. I don't know how it got in, but it can't get out. And it's, I don't know. I mean, why does this happen to me? Critters, cats, dogs. I am still considering the taking the second kitten from Crashly. Still considering it, but good news, Crashly is going to be our guest tonight on Craft With Me Wednesday. We're going to be loom knitting, and Crashly's going to put a hat on the loom, and I'm going to teach her how to make a band for the hat. Um, so that'll be a fun. It's always a fun time, and I'm hoping that tonight I will be able to launch my first video. I've got to do some editing. Um, just recording the wrap up of the hat, just the binding off of the hat, um, closing it up, and then I can put it all together and hopefully in my spare time get it all done today. But you know what's going to help me? Well, it's going to help that it is National No Housekeeping Day. Even though I've already violated that, because my morning routine is I get up, you know, do my bathroom stuff, then I go in the kitchen and make the coffee and clean up the kitchen. So I've already done that. But no more today. No laundry, leave the vacuum where it is, read a book. Well, it's Wednesday. Who's reading a book on Wednesday? I know, Mickey's reading a book on Wednesday. Um, I have to work. I have to watch the trial. I've got my craft show tonight. I want to get the tutorial done. Yeah, no time for housework here. This is like me every day, no housework. Like, I just save it for the weekend. With the exception of like the dishes. Of course, I do the dishes every day because I don't like to have the dishes pile up in the sink. But so this is kind of like me every day. Uh, if the closets are, they're calling out to you and begging you to clean them, ignore that voice. If you think the cupboards need organizing, not today. Yeah. All regularly scheduled housework will begin again tomorrow, but this is me every day. You can leave a few dishes in the sink, leave the dog toys are scattered, just leave them. Books cluttering the table, just leave them. On the weekend, I clean it up. Actually, what I do is as I'm walking through the house, I'm constantly picking up. How does one person and two dogs have so much clutter? I don't know. But I'm constantly like picking up a cup, putting it in the kitchen, picking up, like if I drop a paper towel or a tissue, Tootsie's fun thing is to chew it all up, so I have to pick that up. And so I guess today we're not supposed to do any of that. And that's a good day for this since I have so much other stuff to do. Um, we, we will not be doing any housework. All in favor? Aye. Yes, no housework. Oh, so I'm working on Alice Lost Again. Woohoo! So excited. because I can see the end in sight. Well, it's getting there. These colors are amazing. This is part of the cat right here. This is orange, these oranges here. And her face is pretty much done. I'm working on the eyes. These are her hands right here. Right here and here are her hands. And this is her hair I'm working on too. And this over here, I don't know what that is, but I filled that in yesterday. Oh, that's the belly of the Cheshire Cat. Ah, how cute. It's the belly of the Cheshire Cat. It's so funny, like, you just kind of have to step away, step back from the painting, and then it comes into focus for you. I know that's silly. Oh, so what is everybody? Are you guys having a good week so far? I hope so. Come to craft with me Wednesday tonight and let's chit chat. Let's catch up. Let me see what you guys are all up to. So the puzzle yesterday, several people got that right. So I see several people whose brain works that way. The answer to the puzzle was no one is above the law. Which I thought very appropriate for covering this George Floyd murder trial. No one is above the law, including the police. So since we're talking about it, let's do judge, jury, and journey. Oh my gosh. An interesting day. I felt the testimony was rather repetitive. I mean, I've heard it. I've heard it enough already. I mean, I think if I'm counting correctly, this makes probably 8 different Minneapolis police officers who are throwing Derek Chauvin under the bus and backing up, including the chief of police. Nobody is supporting this man's actions. Wow. Just wow. So the day started out with a motion hearing. And now, most mornings do, and I don't usually listen to them all because motion hearings are usually quite boring. But yesterday there was a super interesting motion hearing. They had to hear, well, both the prosecution and the defense had issued subpoenas, which is an order of the court to appear in that court on a certain date and time, to this Morris Hall. I think his name is Morris Hall. This is the gentleman that was in the car with George Floyd. So this was the opportunity for his attorney to come in and for him to be heard. He appeared via Zoom from the jail because he's currently incarcerated for a domestic violence charge. Good guy all around, just good guy. Somebody you want in your corner. Not. Anyway, so he appears suit and tie, very well dressed, these big, like 70s glasses, very much, I don't know, very put together. But then you could see the cement walls behind him of the prison. So, and he didn't say much at all because I'm sure his attorney said, do not say a word. Don't say a word. You let me do the talking. I'm quite positive because that's what I would have done. So his attorney, she comes in and she says, listen, anything that my client could testify to in this court would incriminate him and expose him to the possibility of a 3rd-degree murder charge. And the judge was like, how so? Tell me about that. So what he did was he asked, he said, what are the areas that your client doesn't want to testify? Well, he doesn't want to testify about the counterfeit bill because, as you recall, he was the one that tried to pass it first. Then he gave it over to George, and George tried to pass it unsuccessfully. So the counterfeit, that's one issue that if he testifies, if they ask him any questions about that, he's going to have to plead the fifth, or he's opening himself up to forgery charges. So, or passing counterfeit money charges. The next area is providing controlled substances to George Floyd. Clearly, that would, the attorney argued that the particular statute about that is very, very broad about third-degree murder. You don't even have to sell them the drugs. If you just hand it to them, administer it, whatever, simply being in the car with him when he took the drugs can expose you to a third-degree murder charge. So he doesn't want to testify about any questions regarding that because it could incriminate him. I don't know what I just said. Um, Apparently, when he got out of the car and Officer Lang went over to question him and the girlfriend, he gave a false name. He didn't tell him his correct name, so any questions about that is going to incriminate him. Apparently, he took something out of his backpack when nobody was looking and threw it. He doesn't want to testify about that. And then his subsequent flight to Texas 2 days after the death of George Floyd. This guy packed up and left town. He's like, well, I'm out of here. So, and then we already, so all of these areas of testimony could expose him to third-degree murder charges. If you are to buy the defense's theory that he died of a drug overdose, this guy could be implicated. The other area that he doesn't want to testify is, any questions regarding any of the behavior of George Floyd in the car. Like, did he take pills or, that kind of thing. So the judge went through each one. He heard arguments from both sides, prosecution and defense. And I understand the prosecution's concern. See, here's what the judge said. What if I just allow him to come in and testify about his observations as to how George Floyd appeared on that day? Similar to what the store clerk had said, like, hey, he appeared intoxicated. So this guy could come in and testify as to, what did he appear, how did he appear that day? So Mr. Hall's attorney was like, nope, he's not going to testify to that because, again, that's going to expose him. And the judge was like, well, how so? And she tried to explain. And then the prosecution, here's their concern, is that, if this guy comes in and he's only allowed to testify to one thing, and then he's going to, any other questions he's asked, he's going to take the fifth. It's going to lend itself to having the jury believe, well, maybe this really is a drug overdose, because they've already heard from George Floyd's girlfriend that this is the guy that they would get their drugs from. So we already know that. The jury already knows that. And now he's coming in and he doesn't want to talk. What's that about? So now they've got all these things running through their mind, and it wouldn't be good for the prosecution. So anyway, so here's how the judge said. He said, I've already ruled that all these areas, no, he can plead the fifth on all these areas. But regarding observations as to how George Floyd appeared on that day, here's what I want you guys to do. Both sides, go back. I'm going to give you some homework. Go back, write down all the questions you want to ask this guy regarding this particular issue. Then I will take those questions and I will give those questions to Mr. Hall's attorney for him and his client, for her and her client to discuss and come back with any objections that they may have. So this hearing is going to be continued probably tomorrow. Not today. They need to give them time to prepare, maybe even Friday. Um, so we're not going to hear from this witness for a while, if at all. Um, and like I said, he never, not a peep out of him except at the end. Thank you, Your Honor. Bye. You know, my pleasure. I'm out of here. Um, so I thought that hearing was more interesting than the rest of the whole day, for sure. Because it was sort of the parade of the trainees, all the, not the trainees, the trainers. Um, there was a sergeant, a lieutenant, and another police officer, all with, a lot of experience. The first sergeant, she came in and she was the crisis intervention training coordinator. Now, crisis intervention training is where they teach you to de-escalate a situation. And she says the policy is when it's safe and feasible, we de-escalate. So I think that gives Chauvin sort of an out there. Their argument that it wasn't safe to de-escalate because there's a big crowd, and that crowd didn't gather till the end. I want you to know. So I don't know how that argument's going to fly. The de-escalation should have come, immediately. When they saw that he was in distress getting out of that vehicle. They should have started some de-escalation techniques, which again is communication and listening. It isn't point a gun at your head and throw you in handcuffs. No, not part of the de-escalation. The next one was a lieutenant. He was the use of force trainer. Now this guy, first of all, he was very good looking. That's the kind of commentary you want from me, right? Yes, he was quite good looking. He is an expert in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and they're trying to shift the emphasis of the use of force to focusing on body control to get people to comply. Using your body to control people, your body weight. And that's what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. It's not about kicking and punching, and it's about controlling the other person's body with your body weight. So he was asked about the neck restraint, because there is a neck restraint policy, and all of the people that testified said the neck restraint, we don't train the neck restraint policy the way you saw it administered by Derek Chauvin. We only, although the policy says you can use your arms and legs, we only train the neck restraint use of force with the arms. We don't, the hands and the arms. We don't use legs. The next person after that was the emergency medical response trainer. She also runs the Narcan program. So each one of these individuals really testified to the same thing. They were all shown the picture of Derek Chauvin with his knee on the neck of George Floyd, and they all said the same thing. We have never trained that technique. It's just not authorized. We just don't train it, which I thought was really interesting. In fact, the use of the force, good-looking lieutenant said it's not an authorized, trained use of restraint. Now, the lady that was head of the EMR and emergency medical response and the Narcan program said that they have to go through this every year or every other year, where they're refresher, and it includes CPR. Turning the page. I'll find my rest of my notes. And she testified that if an officer cannot find a pulse, they must immediately start CPR. And we knew that, all those people are saying, check the pulse, check the pulse. Well, Lang and King checked the pulse. One of them, not Chauvin, but the other two, one of the other two did check the pulse and said he has no pulse. That's when they upgraded the ambulance call from a 2 to a 3, but nobody started CPR. Nobody. Now, I don't know what the time, I'm sure someone's going to figure out how much time passed between them not checking the pulse and the ambulance arriving. But he was unresponsive. This is what you do. One of the interesting things that she was asked, and I thought, really, really clever question. One of the things that Chauvin has said is that, George Floyd had kept saying, I can't breathe, and Chauvin says to him, well, you're talking, so I guess you're breathing. Well, this instructor said that is a myth. You can talk even if you are in respiratory distress. You can talk, or some people can talk. It doesn't mean you're oxygenating properly and that you're not in respiratory distress. As soon as he started communicating distress, they should have started medical care. Not just say, you can't, you're talking, so. She said that's a myth. I thought that was very interesting, because it was something I had given some thought to. Now, she did agree with the defense that scene safety is a factor before rendering aid, and this could include the crowd behavior. Well, it wasn't a mob scene. In fact, they were encouraging them to do the behaviors that we're asking for, the CPR. I think they probably would have applauded had these people turned them over and started doing CPR. But so if that's their defense, that the scene was not safe for them to initiate medical care, I'm not buying it. As a juror, I would be like, what? No. No, sorry. And then there's this question about agonal breathing. What does this mean? And what is it indicative of? And she said, yes, agonal breathing can be, it's kind of like intermittent breathing. And it's something that you see with an opioid overdose. Now, I don't know of anyone that's testified that this man had agonal breathing, so I don't know where the defense is going with this kind of a question. But, yeah. So that was yesterday. More police officers who are not, it's pretty common in the police community, that they stand behind one another, but they are not standing behind this guy's actions. Not at all. And some interesting observations about the defendant, Derek Chauvin. He the courtroom spectator, it's very limited. There is one chair, and this is because of COVID. There is one chair for a family member of George Floyd, and they usually switch out. They'll one day it'll be the sister, one day it'll be the brother. It depends. There's also one chair for a family member of Derek Chauvin. No one has ever shown up for Derek Chauvin. I don't know if he's married or I don't know. Let's ask. Let's ask because he's got no family there, which I thought is very interesting. Does Derek Chauvin have any family members? Well, that didn't work. Okay, let's try it again. What is my? Does Derek Chauvin have any family members? He's married to Kelly Chauvin. They have no children. So here's what this was posted in a news article last year. Oh, okay. Ex-wife. That explains a lot. Oh, and she's pretty. Oh my goodness. So this is the ex-wife of Derek Chauvin. So he's not married. Let's see. Oh, she was from Thailand. Former radiologist and beauty queen who won the title of Mrs. Minnesota in 2018. Wow. So she said, Kelly is devastated by Mr. Floyd's death, and her utmost sympathy lies with the family, with his loved ones, and with everyone who is grieving this tragedy. She has filed for dissolution of her marriage to Derek Chauvin. While Ms. Chauvin has no children from her current marriage, she respectfully requests that her children, her elder parents, and her extended family be given safety and privacy during this difficult time. So the plot thickens. So she filed for divorce after this happened. Ooh, the plot thickens. Why are they divorcing? Let's find out. She filed for divorce 3 days after the death of George Floyd. Oh, saying it was irretrievably broken, the relationship. They had been married for 10 years. Interesting. Huh. So she had 2 kids from a prior relationship. Well, isn't that interesting? Your wife files for divorce 3 days after George Floyd's death. Okay. Well, that was a fun fact for the day. Oh my. So anyway, whether, I don't know if he's got a mom or a dad or, a distant cousin, somebody that cares about him. I don't know because no one has shown up to sit on his side of the courtroom and support him, which I think is very telling, Or maybe they just concerned for their safety. I don't know. Okay, have a sip of coffee and we will continue on. So this day in history, it was not a lot to choose from that was terribly interesting. But in 1945, towards the end of World War II, the Battle of Okinawa is happening. Okinawa it's an island that's south of Japan, and it's not particularly large. It's one of the largest islands of the chain that's out there. but it's kind of where we set up our U.S. base, and well, after all this happened, we did that. But um, this was, we were hoping to take Okinawa and then, get into Japan from there. So there's this huge battle raging, and we can't. The Allied forces, U.S. and other allies are trying to invade Okinawa, and all these Japanese are hidden in these secret tunnels, and the Allied forces people don't even see them coming, and they're shot and killed. But this day in history, on April 7th, the Japanese had this huge battleship called the Yamato, one of the greatest battleships of his time. And, the Japanese were known for their kamikaze tactics. So they sent this battleship on a suicide mission. Just drove it right out in the middle of the war, hoping to destroy the Allied fleet that was off the coast of Okinawa. Well, what ends up happening is, we torpedo the battleship and it gets sunk, and 2,498 members of the crew drowned. So it wasn't really long after this that the Japanese did an unconditional, let's end the war. I don't like talking about war because I don't understand it. I'm a woman, and I feel like let's just have a craft off, Let's see who can make the best diamond painting. Why are we brandishing guns and hiding in tunnels? And I don't know. And those poor people off Okinawa, it's, they lost at least 100,000 of their citizens, off this island. And then afterwards, after the war ended, the U.S. established a base there, and we're still there to this day. Japanese don't like it that we're there, but we're still there. But that's what the U.S. does. Once we end a war, we just stay. It's like having a guest come to your house that never leaves. They're just going to get a room and stay. This is what the U.S. forces do. We're still in Iran, still in Iraq, or wherever we go. We just, leave a little presence to, say, hey, remember us? Yeah, we're still here. God, I don't understand it. Military tactics, I don't get it. Anyway. Okay, guys. Time to go to work. Gotta go take the garbage out. It's Wednesday. Garbage day. Woohoo. Alright. So, I'm going to work on my tutorial. Hopefully, tonight will be the launch. Please be kind when you watch it, because it's my first one. I will see you tonight on Craft With Me Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central. If you're new to my channel, Craft With Me Wednesday is a live show that I do every Wednesday, and I do a different craft each week. So tonight is loom knitting. I think next week will be coloring. I ordered a new coloring book. Wait till you see it. I think, yeah, I did. I was trying to think what it was about. Because I was looking at gnomes. I don't think it was gnomes. I think I've decided on, I think it's mushroom houses. I don't know. I'll do a flip through when I get it, though. So, guys, I will see you tonight. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell when you want to know if I have another video posted. I post daily, Monday through Sunday. And